So let us we continue the compounds of nitrogen. Compounds of nitrogen. So in this, let us we starts with a dinitrogen. Dinitrogen, and the second one is ammonia and oxides of nitrogen, oxy acids of nitrogen. So these are the four compounds. But to understand this easily, you just remember these the reaction tips, and these reaction tips definitely will help you a lot. Reaction tips. Remember, first tip is whatever it may be the ammonium salts is on direct heating. Ammonium salts on direct heating, we will get ammonia. Or else, when the ammonium salts reacts with a strong bases like NaOH or calcium hydroxide, like this, hydroxides of 1A group and 2A group elements. When the ammonium salts are reacted with a strong bases also, we will get ammonia gas. That is the first tip. When the ammonium salts are direct heating, we will get ammonia. Or else ammonium salts reacts with a strong bases like NaOH and the calcium hydroxide, we will get ammonia. Let us see. Writing a few examples. NH4Cl. Now I am treating with a strong base like NaOH. Ammonium chloride is on heating. First of all, it will definitely releases what? NH3. Ammonia gas liberated. And what is remaining here? HCl left. Ammonium chloride, after if you remove the NH3 remaining HCl, acid based reaction neutralization, we will get NaCl plus water vapor. Suppose if it is ammonium salt, that is what? NH4 twice ammonium sulfate. This on reaction with NaOH. Now what happened? It releases 2 moles of ammonia and remaining is what? H2SO4. It will react with a base like NaOH and it gives Na2SO4 plus 2 moles of H2. So when the ammonium salts reacts with the strong bases, we get ammonia gas. Okay, best tip. But the second one, this is an exceptional case to develop. When the ammonium salt, the salts of Cr2O7 minus 2 means ammonium dichromate or nitrite or nitrate or MnO4 minus. These all are what they have high oxidizing nature. Okay, if the ammonium salts is any one of these, means ammonium dichromate, ammonium nitrite, ammonium nitrate, what happened? Because of their strong oxidizing nature, what happened? This, first of all, it will produce ammonia, but because of its strong oxidizing nature, they will oxidize further the formed ammonia. Okay, so the ammonia will not produce in this case. Okay, so in this case, on heating, ammonia will not produce. Why? Because this ammonia further oxidized by these ions and they give some other product. Okay, so just remember these two tips. So definitely it will help you out. Okay. For example, let us we take few examples. These three let us we take. I am taking first of all ammonium dichromate, NaH4 twice, Cr2O7. This on heating, what will come? First ammonia will produce, but dichromate is a strong oxidizing agent. It oxidizes the ammonia into nitrogen gas. Here what is the product? Nitrogen. Suppose if you take NH4NO2 ammonium nitrite Ammonium nitrate. Again here ammonia will produce, but NO2 minus is a strong oxidizing agent. It oxidizes the formed ammonia into nitrogen gas. But ammonium nitrate NH4NO3. Remember that nitrate ion is in what? It's in a sentimental anion. Okay, it's a sentimental anion. How it is feeling? See, nitrogen. So as a strong oxidizing agent, I am not doing any favor to my family member. Right? That is nitrogen. So they decided that I wanted to make laugh this my family member. Laugh means laughing gas. So this nitrate ion will oxidize this nitrogen into laughing gas. That is why I am calling this as a sentimental anion. Okay. So ammonium nitrate. This is just remember these three. Ammonium dichromate. Ammonium dichromate on heating will get nitrogen gas. Ammonium nitrite on heating will get nitrogen. Whereas ammonium nitrate, okay, this on heating will get laughing gas. So these are the three tips. Just remember so that you feel the remaining preparation methods very easy. Let's move on to the first one. Dinitrogen. Dinitrogen. As we know, dinitrogen preparation methods already we discussed this too. Okay, preparation methods if you see. Already we prepared from ammonium dichromate on heating will get nitrogen, ammonium nitrate on heating will get nitrogen. These are the two methods. And in addition to these two methods, by using azides like azides on heating will get nitrogen gas. Azide means what? N3 minus. So azide means N3 minus. N minus 3 is different. N minus 3 is what? Nitride. But N3 minus is have what? Acid. So here acids like sodium acid NaNO3 or barium acid BaN3 twice. Okay. So here this on heating, but we will get 3 moles of nitrogen gas and 2 moles of sodium. This on heating will get 3 moles of nitrogen and 1 mole of barium. And whatever we are preparing this nitrogen, okay, this is a pure nitrogen. Okay, so the pure nitrogen can prepare by heating, by thermal decomposition of azides. Okay, this is the best method for the preparation of nitrogen. In addition to this, you can also follow this one. Okay, next move to the properties of them. Properties of nitrogen. In that properties, the first one is reaction with metals. Reaction with metals. If you see the reaction with the metals, usually most of these, whenever the metals react with the nitrogen, they form their corresponding nitrites. And what is the nature of these nitrites? Most of the nitrites are ionic in nature. Okay, so when metals react with the nitrogen, they form the corresponding metal nitrites. Metal nitrites. So most of these nitrites are what? Most of these are ionic in nature. Okay, but few metal nitrates are there, they are covalent. Already we discussed in S-black elements. That is what, for example, lithium if you take. Lithium. 6 moles of lithium reacts with the nitrogen. They forms what? Li3N. Okay, lithium nitrate, what is the nature? Covalent nature. Even magnesium you take Mg plus N2. So 3 moles, you will get what? 2 moles of Mg3N2. Okay, Mg3, here 3 moles you take, here 2 moles you take. Mg3N2. Okay, so it is also covalent. These are the exceptional cases. Except lithium and magnesium, okay, remaining almost all nitrites are what? Ionic nature. So this is the reaction with metals. Next, move to the second property, reaction with hydrogen. We know very well how the nitrogen will react with the hydrogen. Nitrogen reacts with the hydrogen in presence of iron as a catalyst and in presence of molybdenum or K2O or Al2O3. Any one of these as a promoters at the temperature of 450 degrees Celsius and at the pressure of 1 to 2 atmospheric pressure. Okay, we get ammonia gas. So this is what 1:3. So this method of preparation of ammonia we call it as what? Haber's process. Haber's process. When nitrogen and hydrogen mix in the ratio of 1:3 in presence of iron as a catalyst, molybdenum or potassium oxide or alumina as a promoters at a temperature of 450 degrees and at the pressure of 1 to 2 atmosphere we get 2 moles of ammonia. This method of preparation of ammonia we call it as Haber's process. Here, what are the optimum conditions here? Optimum condition. In case of temperature, generally this reaction is what? Exothermic reaction. That means they liberates heat energy. How much? Minus 92 kilojoules of energy it liberates. It's exothermic reaction. As per the Le Chatelier principle, for exothermic reactions, low temperatures are favorable. Decreasing the temperature, that is a low temperatures are favorable. But so temperature should be low. But why we are maintaining 450 degrees? Why? Because if the temperature is low, what happens? Yield is more, product amount is more, but the time consumption for the rate of reaction is very low. Okay, product is getting more, but for the completion of the reaction it takes months, years. So that is why even though the low temperatures are favorable, but at lower temperature the reaction is very slow. That is why we are maintaining moderate temperatures. Moderate means 450. So then how the 450 degrees will be the moderate? So this is the gaseous reactions here. For gaseous reactions, high temperatures means it can be survive up to 3000, 4000 kelvins also. Okay, so for 450 means it's a moderate only. So, and what about the pressure? 4 moles are giving 2 moles. That means number of moles decreasing. So, what happened? Reaction is favored by high pressure, but low pressure zone. Okay, so this is what reaction with hydrogen. Next, move to the third reaction, that is what? Reaction with oxygen. Reaction with oxygen. As we know, nitrogen reacts with oxygen, it forms NO, but at normal conditions it is not possible. Okay, only when the lightning takes place and in presence of very high temperature in extremely conditions only, nitrogen will react with oxygen. Why? Because in between nitrogen atoms, triple bond, in between the oxygen atoms, double bond. To react with them, first of all, we should break this triple bond and we should break this double bond. Then only they can be react and they produces what? No gas, nitric oxide gas. So this is about the reaction with oxygen. So these are the chemical properties and the preparation methods of nitrogen. Next, move to the second compound of this one, that is what? Ammonia. Ammonia. NH3. As we know, ammonia is a colorless, pungent smell gas. Colorless, pungent smelling gas. And coming to the preparation, already we prepared few methods of preparation. Here hints are there. When ammonium salts are directly heating, we will get ammonia. And as ammonium salts reacts with strong bases, we will get ammonia. Okay, clear? So these are the best methods. But latest modern methods, there was as 2 modern methods are there to prepare this ammonia. So one is Haber's. Already we discussed Haber's process here. Here ammonia is producing. And also one more method, that is what? Cyanamide process. Cyanamide process. What is the cyanamide process? Let us see. In cyanamide process, we prepare the ammonia gas from the limestone, CaCO3. Let us see how. CaCO3, this on heating. What happens when CaCO3 on heating? Decomposition. They give CaO plus CO2 gas will liberate. Next, this formed CaO, they mix it with the carbon. They mix some coal to it. Okay, so we will get CaC2 and carbon monoxide will liberate. And thereafter, this CaC2 will react with the nitrogen and they form CaCN2 plus carbon. Okay, and this mixture, okay, we call it as what? What we call nitroline. The mixture of calcium cyanide and carbon, graphite. This mixture we call it as nitroline. Okay, then this calcium cyanide, this is CaCN2. This on hydrolysis, okay, we get ammonia, and thereafter NH3 will come and we'll get CaCO3 again, and this again we can use it in the first step. So like this we can prepare ammonia gas here. 4-step process. CaCO3 on the thermal decomposer we get CaO. When mixed with the carbon we get calcium carbide. When we mix it with nitrogen we get calcium cyanide plus carbon. This is called nitroline. And this on hydrolysis we get ammonia. It was not balanced, we just balance it nowadays. Next, move to the this is what the preparation methods. Next, coming to the properties. Coming to the properties, the first one, reaction with halogens. So let us take the chlorine here. When ammonia gas reaction with the chlorine, it depends upon the quantity. Suppose if you treat excess amount, when the excess amount of ammonia reacts with chlorine, we will get NH4Cl plus nitrogen. It's very, very important. If you take excess amount of ammonia, what is the product? Nitrogen is the gaseous product. Suppose if it is reverse, that is NH3, but chlorine is in excess amount. Then the product is NCl3 is the product plus HCl will produce. So just remember this, very, very important reaction. This is a reaction with chlorine. Next one, reaction with sodium metal. Just take this reaction with sodium, that is what when ammonia reaction with sodium, we know that in S-block elements we discuss. When you dissolve the alkali metals in the liquid ammonia, what we will get? Amides, soda amides will form, and the solution becomes what? Blue in color because of ammoniated electron. So first of all, sodamide will come, NaNH2, sodamide. This NaNH2, what they just send the laughing gas to it. When you send the laughing gas to the sodamide, we will get sodium azide, NaN3 will come. And this sodium azide on heating, what will happen? Sodium azides on heating will liberate nitrogen gas, already we discussed. And suppose if it is hydrolyzed, on hydrolysis we will get this nitrogen will come out as ammonia. So we will get ammonia plus NaOH will come. So this is what it completely depends upon what the mechanism, way of writing the equation. So that is why reaction with sodium metal is one of the important metal reaction. Next one, reaction with metals, metal salts. Reaction with the metal salts. Suppose you just take aqueous solutions. As we know, in electrochemical series, what is electrochemical series? Arrangement of all the metals in the increasing order of their SRP values. In electrochemical series, at the top, which metals are there? High active metals. In the middle, moderately active metals. And bottom, least reactive metals. Like these three categories I have divided. Least reactive means after hydrogen, Happa. Happa means mercury, next platinum, okay, silver. So all will come after hydrogen. So that is what least reactive. Highly reactive means all the metal ions of 1A group and 2A group elements, S-block elements simply. S-block metals all will comes under highly reactive. Moderate means mainly zinc and iron we will discuss here. Zinc, iron all will come out as under moderate. Let us see in these three cases what will be the products will come. First of all, highly reactive if you take. What will happen? Already we discussed in S-block. When highly reactive metal salts dissolved in liquid ammonia, okay, what they forms? The solution becomes blue in color because of ammoniated electrons. and they form the corresponding amides. That's it. So no need to discuss anymore. Next one, moderate active metals if you see. Moderate active means zinc and iron. So zinc I am taking zinc chloride. Iron I am taking ferric chloride or ferrous sulfate, whatever it may be. When this solves on dissolution in aqueous ammonia means ammonium hydroxide. Okay, ammonium hydroxide. What happened? See, let us see. Displacement will take place. Zinc chlorides will form out. They will come out as zinc hydroxide precipitation will form, and here FeOH to ferrous hydroxide precipitates will come. Here, what is the color of this one? That is important. Here, zinc, if you take, zinc is in +2 state. +2 means it has a D10 configuration. D10, D0, D10 are colorless. So this is what white colored precipitate. White P2D will form. Whereas ferrous hydroxide, Fe+2. Okay, Fe+, as we know, FeOH twice means we can write this as what? Fe2O3 dot XH2O, na? Hydrated ferric oxide. Okay, so if FeCl then FeOH plus hydrated ferric oxide. So it's nothing but rust. Rust, what is the color of rust? Brown color. Brown color precipitates. So moderately active metal salts on dissolution and reaction with aqueous ammonia, we are getting precipitate silica. We are giving different colored precipitates. Next one, third category is what? Less reactive metals. When less reactive metals reacts with aqueous ammonia, they forms complexes. Complex generation takes place. Okay, complexes means what? For example, you take copper, Cu+2 ion. When Cu+2 ion reacts with ammonium hydroxide or ammonia, okay, ammonia will act as what? Ligand, and it will donate its electron to the central metal atom, and they forms CuNH3 4+2. Like this, not only this one, they give different colored complexes. Again the color. So the color of this complex again you can decide based upon the configuration. Here Cu+2 D10 configuration. Okay, so anyhow it's what? Blue. Cu+. It's a blue colored solution. Blue solution. Like that, silver is again D10 configuration, colorless precipitation. So like that you can decide the colors here. Okay, so this is about the reaction with metal salts. And the next one, an important one, drying of ammonia. How to dry the ammonia? Drying means what? Removal of water. Suppose if ammonia is having excess water, how to remove it? Heating. Can you heat? By heating, can you remove the water? No. Drying of ammonia. Yes, you can remove the water by using calcium oxide. Not CaCl2, not concentrated H2SO4, not P4O10. We should not use any one of these three. What is the reason? Why? Because you know, drying of ammonia by using dehydrating agents. Then P4O10 is a dehydrating agent, concentrated H2SO4 is a dehydrating agent, even CaCl2 is also a dehydrating agent. Then why only CaO is suitable for that? Because see that P4O10 and H2SO4. What happened? They are very strong oxidizing agents. They oxidize the ammonia into further. That is why we should not use these two. What about the CaCl2? CaCl2, as we know, CaCl2 they form complexes with the ammonia. Okay, Ca. If you see this complex, we get CaNH3, NH3, calcium 6 Cl2. Like this, what happened? They forms different complexes with them. That is why we should not use CaCl2. Only CaO is only suitable agent for the drying up of ammonia. Next one, test for ammonia. Yes, how can we detect the ammonia, presence of ammonia? Yes, to detect the ammonia, there is a simple tests. Two tests are there. One is just take the ammonia and you dip glass rod in diluted HCl. Immediately you keep it at the mouth of the ammonia. If you get a white dense fumes. Okay, so using detection by using glass rod dipped in HCl. So why? Because immediately NH3 and this HCl will form NH4Cl. They gives white dense fumes. White dense fumes. It confirms the presence of ammonia. And one more test is famous. This is what Nessler's reagent. Nessler's reagent. Yes, what is Nessler's reagent? Nessler's reagent is nothing but K2HgI. Potassium mercuric iodide is called what? Nessler's reagent. Yes, how to prepare this Nessler's reagent? That is the first point. We can prepare this Nessler's reagent by using KiHgCl2 and NaOH. So when we mix these three, we will get this reagent. Potassium iodide, HgCl2 and NaOH. We will get Nessler's reagent. Now, to this ammonia or ammoniated compounds, when we add this Nessler's reagent, to this ammonium, when ammonia reacts with Nessler's reagent, we get Hg2O NH2I. So this is what we call it as iodide of Millen's base. Iodide of Millen's base, and it's in a brown color. It confirms the presence of ammonia. Okay, so it's very important test. Nessler's reagent, it is nothing but the potassium mercuric iodide. It can be prepared by the mixing of KiHgCl2 and NaOH. When you add Nessler's reagent to the ammonia, ammoniated products, you get iodide of Millen's base. Because of that, we are getting brown colored. What is the chemical formula? Mercury peroxide and NH2I. The mixture we call it as what? Iodide of Millen's base. So this is about the tests for the detection of ammonia. Next, move to the oxides of nitrogen. Oxides of nitrogen. As we know, when we mix nitrogen to the oxygen, we are getting different types of oxides. Total 5 different types of oxides. One is N2O, next one NO, next one N2O3, next one N2O4. It's a dimer of NO2. Okay, next one N2O5, N2O. This is what we call as nitrous oxide. This is a nitric oxide, and this is a nitrogen trioxide or nitrogen sesquioxide oxide. Okay, next one, this is nitrogen dioxide, this is nitrogen pentoxide. These are the names. Now let us compare this. N2O. What is the nature of and the color of this one? Remember that the first two, N2O and NO gas, they both are neutral. Okay, N2O and NO, they both are neutral. This is the neutral gas, even this is also neutral gas. Then what about the remaining three? All the remaining three are acidic in nature. Okay, so remaining three are, this is N2O3, N2O4 and N2O5. So all these three are acidic in nature. Okay, next, how can you confirm? By following these oxidation states. What is the oxidation state of nitrogen here? Oxidation state of nitrogen, N2O +1, this is +2, this is +3, here +4, here +5. By increasing the oxidation state, what happens? Acidic nature increases. That is why first two are neutral, next three are acidic. Next, magnetic behavior if you see, a color if you see. So the N2O is a colorless gas. Even this is also colorless gas. But N2O3 is a blue colored solid. And one more thing you remember, this becomes solid at a minus 30 degrees Celsius. Only at a minus 30 degrees Celsius it will be exist as a solid, otherwise it will be gas only. So they may ask you, is this N2O3 is a gas or solid at room temperature? Definitely it's a gas. Only it will be solidified only at minus 30 degrees. And it's a blue color. What is the color? Blue color. And N2O4 is again, actually the color is depends upon it's a dimer of NO2. No? NO2 is reddish brown, but N2O4 is a colorless. That difference you should remember. So N2O4 is colorless, no doubt. So I am writing here colorless. But remember that NO2 is reddish brown gas. It's a reddish brown gas. NO2 is a reddish brown, whereas N2O4 is a colorless gas. Next, N2O5 is again colorless. Okay, so these are the colors. First two are colorless, third one is blue color, fourth one is what? Colorless again, but NO2 is a reddish brown, fifth one is a colorless again. Next comes the magnetic behavior. If we see magnetic behavior, just remember one point. To know the magnetic behavior, just count the number of valence electrons. If it is a even number, it's a diamagnetic. Odd number, it's a paramagnetic. Simple logic. N2O is it. What is the valence electrons of nitrogen? Nitrogen is the fifth group element. So 5. 5 2s are 10. 10 plus oxygen is the sixth group. 16 even number. So what do you think? Odd. That means even number means diamagnetic. So this is dia. NO 5 plus 6 11. Odd number. So definitely it is a paramagnetic. And N2O3, so no doubt, so N2O3 is a diamagnetic. Why? Because there was no unpaired electrons. Next, N2O4. Here one point you should remember. N2O4, that is what? Dinitrogen means dinitrogen dioxide. So in dimeric form it is a diamagnetic. Dimeric form diamagnetic. Why? Because N2 means 5 2s are 10, 6 4s are 24, total 34. It's an even number. Even number means diamagnetic. So in dimeric form it's a diamagnetic, but monomeric form NO2 you check. 5 plus 12 17, odd number. So it's a paramagnetic. So that point you should remember. NO2 is a paramagnetic and reddish brown gas, whereas N2O4 is a colorless and diamagnetic. And N2O5 is again diamagnetic. Okay, so this is one more thing. And one more thing you should remember. N2O3. This on hydrolysis, what we will get? We will get a nitrous acid. That is why N2O3 we call it as what? It's an anhydride of nitrous acid. Anhydride means if you remove, if you add water to this, we will get nitrous acid. If you remove water from it, we will get N2O3. That is why it's an anhydride of nitrous acid. Whereas N2O4, if you take this on hydrolysis, you will get HNO2 plus HNO3. That means it is an anhydride of both us and ec acid. So that we call it a mixed anhydride. N2O4 is what? It is a mixed anhydride. It is an anhydride of nitrous acid. It is a mixed anhydride. Why? Because this on hydrolysis will get both nitrous acid and nitric acid. Whereas N2O5, if you take this on hydrolysis, will get a HNO3. That means nitric acid will come. Nitric. That's why we call this. It's an anhydride of nitric acid. Anhydride of nitric acid. So it's very important. So N2O3 is an anhydride of nitrous acid, whereas N2O4 is a mixed anhydride, whereas N2O5 is an anhydride of nitric acid. And one more thing you should remember. N2O3. This is an anhydride of. It's an anhydride of HNO2, na? Okay, HNO2. But HNO2 has a special feature that it can act as an oxidizing agent, reducing agent, and also complex forming agent, complexity agent. So because of showing these three properties by the NHNO2, even the N2O3 also will actually show the same properties. The properties of N2O3 and HNO2 are almost the same. Why? Because it is nothing but anhydride of HNO2. No? So HNO2 can show oxidizing, reducing and complexing agent. So definitely N2O3 also will show the same. Whereas N2O5 if you take, it is an anhydride of what? HNO3. But HNO3 will act as only oxidizing agent. That is why N2O5 will act as a strong oxidizing agent. Strong oxidizing agent. So just remember like this so that you can easily understand the concept. Then move to the structure. They may ask you the questions related to the structures of these oxides also. Let us see. N2O3 here. I am not discussing the first one. There is just normal only. So N2O3 I am starting. N2O3, N2O4 and N2O5 structures. If you take the N2O3 structure, this is NO. This is the structure of N2O3. So here nitrogen is of tetravalent, this is what trivalent. And having a lone pair of electrons. Remember one point in both cases. Okay, so in this case, see that one lone pair, three bond pairs. One lone pair, three bond pairs. Three bond pairs plus one lone pair, total pairs 4. That means it should be tetrahedral, sp3 hybridized. So sp3 hybridized. And here questions they may ask you. Remember one thing, this is bond angle nearly 130, not exactly, nearly 130. And they may ask you the question related to that. If you consider this NO bond length is X and this NO bond length is Y, okay, then what is the relation between X and Y? They may ask you this question. See that this is a double bond which is in a resonance with this single bond. Okay, that means total how many bonds? 1, 2, 3. 3 bonds between how many of atoms? 2 atoms. So what is the bond order? 3 by 2, 1.5. So here in this case bond order is 1.5, whereas in this case bond order is 2. If bond order is more, what about the bond length? Bond length and bond order both are inversely proportional. So now tell me which is having highest length? Definitely Y should be greater than X. Clear? Then move to the next one. N2O4. N2O4. In case of N2O4, N double bond O, O single bond N. This is the structure of N2O4. Now in this case already I told you this is a bond angle around 130, even it is also around 130. Now they may ask you the question, if this bond length is X and this N bond length is Y, then what is the relation between X and Y? So this is a single bond. This bond order is 1. Here bond order is what? 1.5. So now tell me Y should be greater than X, no doubt. Maybe bond order 1, bond order 1.5. No need to think. Next one, N2O5 if you take, N2O5. That is here already NO2 is there, so there was no chance to add any oxygen there. So definitely the fifth oxygen should come in between these two. So N. So that is the structure of N2O5. Now this is nearly 130 and this is also nearly 130 and this is nearly 112. Okay, why? What is the reason why 112? Just see that in the oxygen 2 lone pairs to 2 bond pairs. Total 2 plus 2, 4. Nearly hybridization sp3. sp3 means nearly 109. So here because of lone pair, which is reduced, not 112, it will be around 105, 106 like that, nearly. Okay, this is about the bond angle. Now they may ask you the question, if this is X and this is Y, then now tell me. So in this case, if this is X and this is a Y, what is that? This is a single bond order. This is what? bond order is 1 and here 1.5. So what do you think? Y is greater than X. Like this, what happened? They may ask you the question related to the bond lengths and the bond orders. Okay, this is about the structures of oxides of nitrogen. Clear? Next, move to the oxy acids. Oxy acids of nitrogen. Oxy acids of nitrogen. Nitrogen will form 4 different types of oxy acids. That is HNO. This is the dimer. That is what H2N2O2. Okay, and then HNO2, HNO3, HNO4. Okay, here HNO2 we call it as nitrous acid. Nitrous acid. This is nitric acid. Here oxidation states, if you see, this is a +1, +2. So this is a HNO, this is a +1 oxidation state. +1 and this is +3 and this is +5 and this is +7. +3, +5 is a common oxidation states. As we know for 50A group elements, +3, +5 are common oxidation states. +3 means us acid, +5 means ic acid. And the oxy acid where the oxidation state is less than +3, we call it as a hypo-us. Hypo-us, that means hyponitrous acid. What is the name of HNO? Hyponitrous acid. And the oxy acid where the oxidation state is more than ic acid, we call it as per-ic acid. Means per-nitric acid. Per-nitric acid. So hyponitrous acid, hyponitrous acid, nitrous acid, nitric acid, per-nitric acid. These are the 4 types of oxy acids that nitrogen will form. Out of these all, we mainly focus on nitric acid. So in upcoming NEET examination, we can expect a question from this nitric acid concept. That is where let us focus more on this nitric acid. Yes, let us. If you see the already HNO2 already we discussed. It's an anhydride. It's an N2O3. N2O3 on hydrolysis will get HNO2. Or else you just take what N2O4. This on hydrolysis will get mixture of HNO2 and HNO3. After that we separate, we will get it. And it can act as both oxidizing agent, reducing agent, and complexing agent. And one more thing, oxidizing agent okay normal, but reducing agent, it can show its reducing nature only in case of presence of strong oxidizing agents than itself. Why? Because itself it is one of the oxidizing agent. If the other substance is a lesser oxidizing agent than itself, then it will show its oxidizing behavior. No? So it can show its reducing behavior only when it is along with a strong oxidizing agent like KNO4, K2Cr2O7, okay, H2O2, ozone. So these are all strong oxidizing agents. When HNO2 is along with them, only it will show its reducing behavior. Otherwise, it will show its usual oxidizing behavior. So that is about the HNO2. That is, I am not going in detail about that. Let us discuss nitric acid. Nitric acid. So the chemical formula of nitric acid is HNO3. HNO3. Let us see the preparation methods of The first preparation is you just take NaNO3, sodium nitrate. To this you take strong acid, not weak acids. Strong acids. When we add strong acid to this nitrate salt, what happens? What will happen? This sodium is more reactive than hydrogen. Okay, in electrochemical sodium is upper. So sodium will go and replace hydrogen. Hydrogen will come and attach to this. So that we get HNO3 plus Na2SO4. So this is feasible. But if you take in reverse, not feasible. For example, HNO3, Na2SO4 if you take, it will not react. Why? Because hydrogen never will displace sodium. But sodium can displace hydrogen. So that is why. Anyhow, this is one of the laboratory method. In the laboratory, if you wanted to prepare the nitric acid, you can follow this method. Industrially, if you wanted to prepare, industrial methods. Yes, what are the industrial methods? Yes, if you wanted to prepare industrially, we will follow 2 methods. One is Ostwald's method. Ostwald's method of preparation. and the second one is Berkeley-Hartley method. Berkeley-Hartley method. And Ostwald's method. Let us see the Ostwald's method. Ostwald's method. Yes, in this Ostwald's method, first of all, let us mix ammonia with oxygen. When we oxidize the ammonia in presence of platinum gas, it will oxidize ammonia into NO gas, no gas. Okay, so next one, this NO gas on further oxidation with air, okay, then we'll get NO2 gas. NO2 gas. Thereafter, this NO2 gas on hydrolysis. Okay, NO2 on hydrolysis. Okay, it undergo disproportionation. We'll get HNO3 and NO. This is on dissolution in the water. It undergo disproportionation. How can you say it's a disproportionation reaction? In NO2, what is the oxidation state? +4. In HNO3, +5. In NO, +2. So intermediate +4 is giving +5 and +2. Okay, so it's undergoing disproportionation. We are getting HNO3 and NO. Remember that this formed HNO3, okay, by distillation, we can get up to 68% of HNO3. So up to 68% only we will get by distillation. But why only 68%? Why? Because in solutions concept azeotropic mixture, 68% of HNO3 is one of the example for azeotrope. Okay, so it is at 68% they form azeotrope mixture. Because of that, azeotrope means they show same boiling point. We cannot separate them. Okay, now but after 68%, how to purify? To purify further, there was no other option. We follow dehydration technique. By adding some dehydrating agent like H2SO4. Okay, if we add dehydration by using H2SO4, we can bring up to 98%. 98%. So this is a method of preparation of Ostwald's. And one more thing, you may get the doubt. Why ammonia is converting into NO? Thereafter NO is converted into NO2. Why don't we prepare NO2 directly here? Okay, see, if you see this logic, you can understand. What is the byproduct here? NO. The formed NO again in the second step you can use it. No? This is the advantage. That is why first they oxidize the ammonia into NO and NO further oxidizing into NO2, and this NO2 on dissolution in the water will get HNO. And the formed byproduct again will continue the second step. So this is an advantage of Ostwald's method. Then we move to the Berkeley method. In this Berkeley method and Ostwald's method are almost the same, just small difference. That is what in the reactant starting material. So here N2 plus O2 gives rise to NO. Then NO on oxidation will get NO2. Then NO2 on dissolution in the water we will get HNO3 plus NO. Same. Second step, third step is same. Only first step. Here they prepare the nitric acid by using nitrogen and oxygen. Here they prepare the nitrogen HNO3 from ammonia. That is only the difference between these two. So this is in case of platinum mass. Okay. So these are the preparation methods of nitric acid. Then move to the properties. So in case of properties, I am dividing the elements into three categories. Let us see. If you take the metals like chromium and aluminium, when you dissolve it in a HNO3 concentrated, tell me, is this metal chromium and aluminium can dissolve in HNO3? Are they dissolved in HNO3? No, they are insoluble. That means they are passive towards concentrated HNO3. What is the reason? Because they forms oxide film. over them because of the protective oxide layer formation. Okay, these metals chromium and aluminium are not going to be reacting, are not going to be dissolving it. Okay, so chromium and aluminium do not dissolve in concentrated HNO3 and they are passive towards concentrated HNO3 because of the formation of oxide layer on it. Next one, you take all the metal, almost all remaining zinc, copper and iodine, carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, all metals and non-metals almost except this. When they react with concentrated HNO, I told you already HNO3 is a strong oxidizing agent. They oxidizes these metals and non-metals into their highest oxidation state. Tell me what is the highest oxidation state of zinc? Maximum you can show +2 now. So the compound can be zinc sulfate. Zn +2. Cu into Cu sulfate. Maximum is +2. Iodine maximum is HiO3 +5. And carbon into CO2 and H2O. They may ask you this question. Among the following elements, which element can give two different gases? So carbon dioxide is one gas, H2 is another gas, and carbon dioxide is diamagnetic and H2 is a paramagnetic. So two different magnetic gases, two different gases will produce by the carbon. Next, phosphorus on reaction with constant HNO3 will get a maximum highest oxidation state plus H3PO4 you take. H3PO4. And sulfur, that is what H2SO4, like this. This is the only concentrated HNO3 will behave same as like with all metals and non-metals. Only chromium and aluminium are different. Clear? When concentrated HNO3 reacts with metals and non-metals, it oxidizes the metals and non-metals into their corresponding higher oxidation state compounds. Next one. What about diluted HNO3? Diluted HNO3 will show different behavior. So if you, in case of zinc and copper, just remember one thing, diluted HNO3 is, when you compare the zinc and copper, zinc is more reactive. Okay, so diluted HNO3 will laugh with zinc, will say no to copper. Simple. Diluted HNO3 will laugh with zinc and say no to copper. That means zinc on reaction with the diluted HNO3, what is the product we will get? Will laugh with zinc. That means N2O will produces plus zinc nitrate. Will laugh with zinc, say no to copper. That means when it reacts with diluted HNO3, we will get NO gas will produces and they forms copper nitrate. So this is the reaction of zinc copper with diluted HNO3. So just follow these hints. I think it will feel very easy to do. Next, move to the brown ring test. Brown ring test. What is this brown ring test? If you take the brown ring test, how you do this brown ring test? You just take the nitrate ion. Usually brown ring test is for the detection of nitrate ions in the solution. What they do? They take the solution, add ferrous sulfate, freshly prepared ferrous sulfate. To this add 1 or 2 drops of H2SO. So freshly prepared ferrous sulfate means iron is in +2 state, and in the presence of acidic media means H+. So what will happen now? Nitrate ion is a strong oxidizing agent. It will oxidize the ferrous ions into ferric and itself reduce it to NO gas. NO gas, and the ferrous becomes what? Ferric ions. Now what happens? Now this NO gas, this formed NO gas will go on further react with the unreacted remaining ferrous ions. All ferrous ions will not be oxidized. Few ferrous ions still in the aqueous solution. So aqueous solution, this is aqueous solution. So in aqueous solution, Fe will exist as FeH2O6 +2. No? Okay, so this unreacted ferrous ion, aqueous ferrous ions will react with this NO gas, and now they produces FeH2O5 NO +2. So this is called, this complex we call it as brown ring complex. So penta aqua nitrosoferrous. Okay, and one more thing, important point you should remember, in brown ring complex, what is the oxidation state of iron? Is +1, not +2. Why? Because nitro NO plus is there. No? So if we calculate 0, NO +1 and +2. So if you bring this +1 to that side, -1 will become +1. So oxidation state of iron is what? +1 in brown ring complexes. So this is about the brown ring test. Once again, when nitrate ion mixed with the freshly prepared ferrous sulfate in the presence of acidic media, nitrate ions will oxidize the ferrous into ferric. Next, this ferric and itself reduced to NO. And this formed NO will react with this aqueous unreacted ferrous ions and they forms FeH2O5 NO. This is the complex we call brown ring complex. There the iron is in +1 oxidation state.